Welcome to the BVTV network, coming to you from the UK studios of BizVision. I'm your host, Malcolm Gallagher. Funding is the oxygen that helps an organisation grow, and often without it, like oxygen for your body, an enterprise can struggle to survive. But getting that funding, and especially at the right terms, is not easy, and it can be frustrating. It's likely that you will need to trust a capable pair of experienced hands. Well, let's go meet that capable pair of hands. From Growth in Business, please meet Tim Holmes. Hello, Tim.
Hello, Malcolm. Thank you for having me on today.
Hey, it's great to talk to you on such an important subject, especially at this time as businesses are trying to recover. Now, before we get started, though, Tim, can you quickly tell us what it is that your business does?
Absolutely, Malcolm. Well, we help businesses and non-for-profits look for, identify and apply for grants and funding. When we talk about businesses, we can talk about tax credits, that sort of stuff. And so we go through the process of talking to them. We go out and identify what's available for them. We can keep them up to date, and we can apply on their behalf as well.
Excellent, Tim. Tim, I used the word trust in my opening piece because I think that is essential when you're helping a business achieve funding. They are, after all, entrusting a lot of their private information with you. Take us through your approach to finding such funding for a client. Do you have a flow process, or does it differ between different types of clients, their sector and their needs?
Absolutely. I mean, go back to the trust element. We obviously, in order for us to carry out our process well, we do need to know an awful lot about the client, more than probably a lot of service providers would. So we need to know their future plans. We need to know about what potentially their innovations are, and also their financial situation. So we're not opposed to signing NDAs with companies if required, but we work on the premise that basically, trust is a very important part of what we do, and if we ever betray that trust, then we're out. So we always want to be a journey with a client. So we will work with a client. We will talk with them first. We will find out exactly what they want to do, what their plans are moving forward. We will take that conversation away, and so at some point, sometimes we'll talk to a client, and actually we know from that point that actually we can't help them, and we will tell them that, and it may be that they just need to go out and get a commercial loan or something, so which is not really in our remit to do. From there, we will go and do some research, some basic research for them, and then just come back with a high level sort of proposal about what we feel could be available. We will then, if the client wants to move further forward, we will do a more in-depth report, which takes a little bit of time to do, but actually we'll give them all the information that they will require for where all this funding is and what they can probably apply for. We can then keep them up to date moving forward. And at that point, that if they want us to apply, we can do that with pleasure on their behalf. Well, they might want to take the information, do it themselves, or take it to a third party, another third party, in which case it's absolutely fine with us. We've done our bit. The client knows exactly what's available for them. And the important thing is the client can get the funding they require.
Excellent. Yeah. Tim, let me remind our audience of your URL, your website, which is, obviously viewers can see it on the screen behind me, but for listeners, let me spell it out. All the W's, growthinbusiness.com. All the W's, growthinbusiness.com. Tim, what are the top 3 reasons why a business is refused funding?
That's a very good question, Malcolm. And actually, I recently wrote an article on our website about the 10 top tips to a successful application. So I suppose bringing a few of those in reverse, really. One is it can be the eligibility criteria. We do find that people don't pay enough attention to what they're eligible to apply for. So they can go through the whole process, but actually right from the very start, they weren't eligible anyway. So that's probably one of the areas, and that's it's an area to take a bit of time to look at first. Secondly, I would suggest probably the application itself. It's either rushed because they've tried to do it too close to the deadline and they haven't had time to actually do it properly, go into enough depth, or they don't actually answer the questions that the funder wants the answers to. I think sometimes with a business owner, they can get so wrapped up in their own business that actually, when they go to do it, they answer the question with what they want rather than what the funder is actually after. So that probably, goes back to having a poor application, and potentially the fact that a lot of applications, as you'll be aware, they need so much supporting documentation. And you really have to be diligent enough to get all this documentation in place first. Make sure that the application does actually reflect that documentation, and upload it or send it off, or whichever the case may be. So really, I suppose, some people don't pay enough attention to the supporting documentation that is required by the funder. So I suppose out of everything, that they would probably be my top three, really.
Yeah. And I can see from what you've just said how important it is to have a capable pair of hands like yourselves. Tim, my final question. Do you see that it's going to be tougher to get funding in the future because of a lack of sources, such as the withdrawal of the ERDF, the European funding? What should businesses who think they will need funding at some time in the future be doing now?
Well, I think the market will get highly competitive. I certainly think through the pandemic that the word grants has come out into the forefront of a lot of people's minds. So there's a lot of people out there realising the fact that grant funding is available, and you're quite right. The ERDF funding will come to a close, and the UK government obviously has got to come up with something to replace that, to incentivise and to keep business in the UK at the cutting edge of the world, be competitive in the world economy. I think really business owners should do a couple of things, really. One, they need to be aware of the different types of funding that are available. So awareness, I think, and so you've got first mover advantage about getting this funding. And also, I think it's going to, it's only a personal opinion, but become more common to use funding from different sources. So it might be a little bit more of grant funding. It might be some tax credits, might be some debt funding, and a director's loan, say, for example. So a combination of deconstructing the amount of money that is required could be more common, and just using various sources rather than just going for one source of funding.
Yeah, sort of like a cocktail of funding. There are many and constant changes in the funding scene. Reduce the frustration, even anger, by putting your trust in the capable and experienced hands of someone like Tim Holmes and his company Growth in Business. Thanks, Tim, for your insights.
Well, thank you very much, Malcolm, for having us on BVTV.